The world we live in today is shaped by technology. From smartphones to music players, from computers to digital creativity, many of these changes are connected to one name, Steve Jobs. This is not just the story of a successful businessman. It is the story of a curious child, a college dropout, a rebel thinker, and a visionary who believed that technology should be simple, beautiful, and meaningful. In this student-friendly documentary, we explore the complete life of Steve Jobs in 10 chapters, from his birth to his legacy. His journey teaches us that greatness does not come from a perfect start, but from the courage to follow one's own vision. Now, let us begin where it all started. Chapter 1: Birth and Early Childhood. Steve Jobs' story began not with comfort or certainty, but with an unexpected twist of fate. On February 24, 1955, in San Francisco, California, a baby boy was born to young parents who were not ready to raise a child. Social pressures and personal circumstances forced them to make a difficult decision, and only days after his birth, the baby was put up for adoption. That child was Steve Jobs. Steve was adopted by Paul Jobs and Clara Jobs, a modest and hard-working couple. Paul was a mechanic who loved fixing things with his hands, and Clara was gentle, caring, and devoted to her family. They were not wealthy, but they gave Steve something far more important than money: love, stability, and a sense of belonging. From the start, Steve's adoptive parents told him he was not abandoned, he was chosen. This belief stayed with him throughout his life, giving him confidence, but also instilling a quiet pressure to prove himself. The Jobs family later moved to Mountain View, California, a peaceful suburban area that would later become the heart of Silicon Valley. At that time, it was just quiet streets, small houses, and garages filled with curious minds tinkering with electronics. Steve grew up surrounded by a culture of experimentation, though he did not yet realize its significance. Even as a young child, Steve was intensely curious. He constantly asked questions and was rarely satisfied with simple answers. He wanted to understand how things worked and why they worked. His father, Paul, nurtured this curiosity by involving him in projects in the garage. Paul often reminded him that true craftsmanship meant caring about even the parts no one would see. This early lesson in attention to detail and quality would become a core principle in Steve's life and work. School was difficult for Steve. Traditional classrooms bored him, and memorization seemed meaningless. He often challenged authority, questioned rules, and struggled to fit in with classmates and teachers alike. Though some teachers called him difficult or rebellious, his parents recognized his brilliance and supported his curiosity. Skipping a grade because of his advanced intellect made him feel even more isolated, but it also strengthened his independence and his ability to spend long hours exploring ideas on his own. Steve also developed a fascination with electronics early on. He attended local clubs, tinkered with machines, and sought out people who could teach him about technology. One notable moment from his childhood showed his fearless curiosity. He found the phone number of the president of Hewlett-Packard and called him directly to request parts for a project. Rather than being annoyed, the executive was impressed by Steve's confidence and provided the help he needed. From this, Steve learned that boldness and curiosity could open doors. Steve Jobs was not perfect. He was emotional, stubborn, and often misunderstood. But his early years taught him lessons about independence, creativity, and the power of curiosity. These years quietly built the foundation of a visionary, preparing the child who was once given away to eventually change the world. Chapter 2: The Rebel Mind, School Life and Early Curiosity. As Steve Jobs grew older, it became clear that he did not fit easily into the traditional school system. He was intensely curious and had a mind that refused to accept things at face value. While other children followed rules without question, Steve always asked why. If a lesson or rule did not make sense to him, he ignored it or challenged it. This rebellious attitude often got him into trouble with teachers who could not understand his need for deeper meaning. From an early age, Steve showed intelligence beyond his years. He learned quickly, especially in mathematics and science, and often finished his work faster than others. Yet, while he excelled academically, he struggled socially. Skipping a grade meant he was younger than most of his classmates, and he often felt isolated. He did not blend in easily, and this sense of being different followed him for much of his youth. But rather than breaking his spirit, this isolation strengthened his independence. Steve became comfortable spending long periods alone, thinking, exploring, and imagining ideas. Steve's parents, Paul and Clara, noticed their son's unusual thinking and supported him. They understood that Steve needed space to explore, even if his behavior looked difficult to outsiders. They encouraged his curiosity and allowed him to spend hours tinkering with electronics in the garage, observing and learning from his father's meticulous craftsmanship. It was here that Steve learned one of his most important early lessons: the beauty of details and the importance of doing things perfectly, even when no one else would see. During his teenage years, Steve became fascinated with technology and the potential of electronics. He joined local electronics clubs, read extensively, and experimented with small projects. He also started meeting people who shared his interests. These experiences planted the seeds of his future work in computers and innovation. Beyond technology, Steve began exploring philosophy and spirituality. He asked big questions about life, meaning, and purpose. This search for understanding would later shape not only his personal life, but also the vision behind the products he would create. Steve's rebellious mind, fueled by curiosity and a refusal to settle for the ordinary, was beginning to take shape. By the time he graduated from high school, Steve Jobs had no clear plan for the future. He did not dream of a conventional career or stable job. What he did have was an unshakable curiosity, a fearless mind, and a growing understanding that thinking differently could lead to extraordinary possibilities. The foundations of a visionary thinker were being laid, and the journey that would eventually change the world was quietly beginning. Chapter 3: The Dropout Who Kept Learning, College and the Search for Meaning. After high school, Steve Jobs took the next step in life and enrolled at Reed College in Portland, Oregon in 1972. College was supposed to be a path toward a secure future, but Steve quickly realized that the traditional education system did not satisfy his curiosity. He found many required classes boring and repetitive, and he could not see the point of learning things that did not inspire him. For Steve, knowledge was only valuable when it connected to life and creativity. After just 6 months, Steve made a bold decision. He dropped out of college. To most people, this seemed reckless. Dropping out meant giving up a conventional path and disappointing his parents, who had spent their savings to support him. Yet, Steve felt that attending classes without passion would be a waste of time. He wanted to explore learning on his own terms, following subjects that truly interested him. Even without attending formal classes, Steve did not stop learning. He wandered through the campus, sitting in on courses that fascinated him. He explored art, calligraphy, and design simply because they interested him. One calligraphy class would later shape the look of Apple computers, teaching him about fonts, spacing, and the beauty of typography. At the time, it seemed unrelated to technology, but Steve's curiosity allowed him to connect the dots years later. Steve also became deeply interested in spirituality. He read about Zen Buddhism, meditation, and philosophies from the East. He believed that understanding life and oneself was as important as understanding machines. Chapter 4: Wozniak and the Birth of Apple, the First Step Toward a Revolution. After dropping out of college, Steve Jobs returned to California, a place buzzing with young engineers, inventors, and dreamers. During this period, he met Steve Wozniak, a brilliant but shy engineer who shared his love for electronics. While Wozniak had the technical skills to build machines, Jobs had vision, creativity, and a sense of what people wanted. Together, they formed a partnership that would change the world. Their first major creation was the Apple I, a simple personal computer built in Jobs' garage. Unlike other computers of the time, it could fit on a desk and perform tasks that were previously only possible on large, expensive machines. Jobs also emphasized design, insisting that computers should be aesthetically pleasing and user-friendly, not just functional. In 1976, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and investor Ron Wayne officially founded Apple Computer Inc. Starting with nothing but a garage, vision, and determination, they began selling computers to hobbyists. Apple's early success taught Jobs lessons about teamwork, innovation, and the importance of making technology accessible to people. These years marked the first step of a journey that would turn a curious dropout into a global visionary. Chapter 5: Early Apple Success and the Macintosh, from Garage to Global Attention. After Apple's foundation, Jobs and Wozniak developed the Apple II, a fully assembled personal computer designed for everyday users. Its success made Apple one of the fastest-growing companies in Silicon Valley. Jobs' insistence on simplicity, elegance, and user-friendly design set Apple apart from competitors. Jobs' vision led to the development of the Macintosh, a computer with a graphical interface, icons, and a mouse. Creating the Macintosh was difficult. Jobs was demanding and impatient, yet his insistence on perfection pushed the team to create something revolutionary. In 1984, the Macintosh was launched with the famous 1984 Super Bowl commercial, presenting it as a tool for creativity and freedom. Apple had become a symbol of innovation, showing that technology could be both functional and beautiful. Chapter 6: Ego, Conflict, and the Fall from Apple. Lessons in Leadership. By the early 1980s, Apple had grown rapidly, but Jobs' perfectionism and intensity caused friction with colleagues. He was demanding, impatient, and often harsh. In 1983, John Sculley was hired to help manage Apple, but their visions clashed. Jobs wanted complete creative control, while Sculley prioritized stability and structure. In 1985, after internal disagreements, Steve Jobs was removed from his leadership role in the Macintosh division. It was a humiliating and heartbreaking moment. However, Jobs used this setback as a lesson. He realized that leadership required humility, collaboration, and patience. Being forced out of Apple became an opportunity for reflection and growth, preparing him for even greater achievements. Chapter 7: Next, Pixar and Learning from Failure, Rising Again. After leaving Apple, Jobs founded Next, a company creating advanced computers for education and business. While commercially limited, Next's innovations would later influence Apple's operating systems. At the same time, Jobs bought Pixar, a struggling animation studio. He transformed it into a creative powerhouse, producing Toy Story in 1995, the first fully computer-animated feature film. These experiences taught Jobs resilience, leadership, and the importance of collaboration. He learned that failure could become a stepping stone to greater success. Chapter 8: Return to Apple and Revival, a Vision Restored. In 1997, Steve Jobs returned to Apple. The company was near collapse, but Jobs simplified product lines, focused on design, and rebuilt company culture. He emphasized clarity, innovation, and human-centered design. The launch of the iMac marked Apple's revival. Its combination of technology, design, and simplicity resonated with customers. Jobs' leadership evolved, blending intensity with mentorship.
Apple was no longer just a computer company. It became a symbol of creativity and excellence, setting the stage for future breakthroughs. Chapter 9: iPod, iPhone, and Global Impact, Changing the World. Steve Jobs continued innovating with products that changed lives. The iPod 2001 revolutionized music, connecting devices with the iTunes ecosystem. The iPhone 2007 combined phone, music player, and internet device in one, transforming communication and computing. Jobs insisted on controlling the entire user experience. Apple became a cultural icon, showing that technology could combine artistry, innovation, and accessibility. His vision inspired entrepreneurs and designers worldwide. Through these products, Jobs did not just sell devices, he changed the way the world interacted with technology.
Chapter 10: Illness, Death, and Everlasting Legacy. The End of an Era, the Start of Inspiration. In 2003, Steve Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Despite illness, he continued to lead Apple, introducing revolutionary products like the iPad. His resilience and focus inspired employees and the world alike. On October 5, 2011, Steve Jobs passed away at 56. His death was mourned globally, reflecting the immense impact of his vision. His legacy is not only in Apple products, but in ideas, simplicity, creativity, and passion for excellence. Jobs showed that one person's vision can change industries, culture, and daily life. From an adopted child to a college dropout, from a garage inventor to a global icon, Steve Jobs' journey demonstrates the power of curiosity, courage, and relentless pursuit of excellence. His influence endures in technology, culture, and the lives of millions, ensuring that his story inspires generations forever.